or to be a presidential aspirant of the opposition National Democratic Congress, you should be able to raise at least 400,000 Ghana cedis. That's how much it costs to file to be in the race to lead the party. Remember, there's a 20,000 fee to pay for the form. At a press conference today at the headquarters of the party, General Secretary Johnson Asiedu-Nketia said the revenue raised from the filing will be used to defray costs incurred during the primaries.
Please, how much is too much? Can you tell us how much is too much? Nobody knows. What are you comparing with? So far, the questioner doesn't appear to give us the comparison. But let me tell you, when we say that there are hardship, it means cost of living is high. But somebody must pay the cost of running the elections. Who is going to pay? I have not declared to be a presidential candidate. So those who have declared to be presidential candidates must pay the cost. Yes. Yes. So, and if you compare these monies against the cost of organizing the activity we are talking about, you see that the party will still have to raise money to supplement whatever will be accruing from these filing fees. So I don't see how anybody can say that it is. If you want to compare us to MPP 3 years ago were charging 500,000. We were all with you here in this country. Did you complain? And 3 years on, we are charging 400. And you still say ours is too high. In fact, when we talk about social democracy, it is not equivalent to poverty. You see, many people have some wrong understanding of what social democracy is all about. Social democracy is not poverty. Social democracy means that the market must work. The productive forces in the economy must be released to achieve their potential.
Johnson Asiedu-Nketia there. As I indicated earlier on, there has been some reactions. I'll tell you about it shortly. We have some of them on the line. But Mr. Asiedu-Nketia further noted that the 400,000 filing fee is not refundable. Hence, presidential aspirants must demonstrate their ability to raise funds for the 2020 campaigns.
So, weigh yourself well. If you want to be the president, then you consider your options very well before you come into the contest. If you want to pretend, you bring your money, we also pretend with your money. You will not have the option of demanding any refund. So it is up to you to decide.
No opportunity for refund. Already there's been some opposition to the charges put out there. Richard Kwashiga speaks for the Joshua Alabi campaign team. He joins me on the line now. Mr. Kwashiga, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Your General Secretary says this is nothing compared to how much it will cost the party to run the primaries. That sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Hello, Mr. Kwashiga. Can you hear me? Yes, sir. If you can hear me, hello, Mr. Kwashiga, can you hear me?
Yes, your line is unfortunately very faint.
Okay, let me boost up my voice a little. Your General Secretary says this is nothing compared. How much they're charging is nothing compared to how much it will cost the party to run the primaries. That sounds reasonable. Doesn't it sound the same to you?
Sorry, you said the General Secretary said?
He says the amount they are charging you, the flag bearer candidates, is nothing compared to how much the party needs to run the primaries.
Well, thank you so much. I think, first of all, I do not think that the party is run on the back of flag bearer contestants. So assuming that we're having only one or two people contesting at the end of the day, are we saying that we cannot find resources to run our party? The amount that has been thrown out to us is mind-boggling. It is very much on NDC. And I think there will be the need to review the amount of money that flag bearer contestants have to pay. I think that as a party that is of the democratic philosophy, we don't need to be seen to be making money an issue. And so to say that what it costs the party to run is nowhere near, or it's not comparable to how much contestants have been asked to pay, for me, is like begging the issue. The fact is that even if it's one person, assuming it's only one person who has expressed interest, are we saying we will not find money to organize our party, to organize elections?
I'm sure that they've taken all of that into consideration. What they're also saying is that if you want to be president of a country, you want to be president of the president on the ticket of the party, you should demonstrate your ability to raise funds. I mean, fundraising should be a skill that you come on the table with. You should be able to raise the funds, and it should really not be a problem for you if you mean business.
Well, I don't want to be seen to be running at parallel lines or at parallel with my general secretary. But I do not think that that conclusion is very, very acceptable.
Okay.
The fact that somebody has qualities to be able to, strategic approaches to turn around an organization or an institution or even a nation, does not mean that that individual must necessarily have the competencies to raise funds. What kind of mechanisms are we talking about here in using to raise funds? I think that the General Secretary got it wrong on that score. And that obviously is not what Ghanaians are looking for, or the NDC is looking for, an effective fundraiser. We are looking for somebody who has the competencies and the capabilities, you know, with all the sincerities, you know, to turn around the fortunes of this country, to actually ensure that the Malay situation that we find ourselves in as a nation and as a party, you know, can be addressed with effective leadership.
Okay.
That is what is at the core of the matter.
Okay.
Not about somebody who has competencies to be a good fundraiser.
Okay. So you don't agree with him on that score. How much were you expecting?
I don't agree with him.
How much were you expecting to pay?
Sorry, come again.
How much were you expecting the amount to be?
The last time, how much was it? Was 50,000. And so even if you want to increase it, you want to up it, at least it should be by 100%, which would have been 100,000. And even that which can even be considered outrageous but reasonable would be maybe, let's say, 200, 150,000 or 200. But to raise it by 800%, you know, 4 years on, doesn't really gel with what we would expect as social democrats. Seriously. I think it's just on the high side. There's a need for a review of that amount.
To a review of that amount to 100,000, which you're expecting?
200,000 or at worst 150,000.
At worst 150,000.
But Gifty, let me state this.
I just want to find out before you state that whether or not there are options for you, according to the party's constitution, to deal with it and to get the discount or to get the review you're seeking.
Come again. Unfortunately, your line is a bit faint.
Are there options in the party's constitution for you to go through to get the review you're seeking? And are you going to use them?
Mechanisms for redress. If I want to seek redress, I'm unhappy about something. There are there are provisions in the party's constitution to seek redress. But in this case, we're talking about filing fee, for flag bearer contestants. And I think that it is just way up, way beyond what is normal, especially when we know too well that our party is supposed to be one for the grassroots.
Right, Mr. Kwashiga, that's a point you made already. So you make the point you wanted to make before I put this question before you, and help us.
What I want to say is that I have an interest in who becomes flag bearer of the NDC.
Okay.
And I'm very passionate and very confident about the candidate whom I support, who is Professor Joshua Alabi.
Right.
I know that raising 400,000 is not the issue, but we are looking at the principles, as a social democratic party.
Okay.
So that is what we're talking about. We must not come across as selling the ticket to the highest bidder.
Is that what you think this is?
Well of us as a social democratic party. So there will be the need for a review. This is something that a decision they've come out with, but I think it is not cast in stone. We can actually take a look at it again as a political party.
That is again, Mr. Kwashiga, if you allow me, again, this is a point that you made already. What I want to find out is how you are going to get this review. What are the processes you have to go through as far as the party's constitution is
so we raise the issues.
So what are you going to do?
I know from our camp, Professor Joshua Alabi's camp, we will raise the issue. Okay. And I'm very confident that Honorable Bagbing will also raise the issue. Obviously, there are people who are very concerned. And the concerned people will raise the issue with the party.
And if you don't get the review?
Some meaning will be made out of it all.
And if you don't get the review, what's going to happen if you don't get the review downwards?
Gifty. The Joshua Alabi campaign team is unstoppable. Professor Joshua Alabi is bubbling with the needed energy. And on the grounds, the name that resonates with the delegates as of today is Joshua Alabi. Joshua Alabi, Professor Joshua Alabi's name resonates with the delegates at the nook and cranny of the country.
But if you don't raise the 420,000, he won't be on the ticket. I am saying that
nothing will stop us from contesting. Nothing will stop Professor Alabi from contesting.
So if you don't get the review downwards, you will pay. You raise the money and pay.
We will pursue that.
Okay.
But I can assure you that nothing whatsoever will prevent Professor Alabi from contesting, because he is obviously going to be the next flag bearer of the NDC. Okay.
Do you feel that this is what people are calling some sort of removal tactics, if you like? Do you feel that this is just a way to remove some people, to get some people off the flag bearership race?
Well, I am not in the minds of people to be able to tell exactly if that is the motive. But if that is the motive, then those who hold that motive will be disappointed.
Mr. Kwashiga, thank you very much for your time this afternoon here on The Pulse. Richard Kwashiga, he speaks for the Joshua Alabi campaign team. Well, some, like I said, some have said that this practice by political parties during internal elections is actually what feeds corruption. Evans Mensah is head of our political desk. He joins me now in the studio. Evans, good to see you. Nice shirt, by the way.
Good to see you, Gifty.
And like I said, politics is blood for Evans, so it's good to see you once again.
400,000 CDs.
That's a lot of money, isn't it?
500,000 CDs. Because you
420,000.
Exactly, that's what I was going to point to. You also have to pay 20,000 to pick it. That's 500,000 CDs. That's a lot of money just to run on a political party's ticket. But so that's my initial comment, that this is very expensive.
It's very expensive.
It has implications.
But hold on, Evans. When you say it's very expensive, we had Johnson Asedun Ketia say, and I can't recall, say that the NPP paid 500,000 3 years ago. That's what he said.
Okay. I mean, so the NPP paid 500,000, but the NPP is not the NDC.
Okay.
The NDC is not the NPP. They are fundamentally different. And I think you heard Richard Kwashiga made a point. There's a National Democratic Party. It's a democratic party. It's a grassroots party. That's how they pride themselves. It's a socialist. They come from a socialist, ideological background. That sort of party, you cannot be mentioning figures such as this just for people to run on your ticket.
Yeah.
The MPP can have that justification because they are a property capitalist-oriented party. But for the National Democratic Congress to fix such an amount for their contest, that raises questions. And they have a school for that ideology. And I doubt if that will be something that they'll be teaching in the school, in terms of money shouldn't be the overriding factor in who leads the NDC.
But for a party that's in opposition, Evans, and realistically, the party needs to organize these primaries. And like the General Secretary is saying, we need the money to run the
Absolutely,
primaries.
they do need the money. So that is the flip side. That is true, they are in opposition. They have to organize this very elaborate process to elect somebody. So they need the money to put in. That's a reality. However, what is realistic? Looking at one, your ideology. Looking at two, you don't want to, in essence, make money a bar for people to sort of, put themselves out there. Because fundamentally, what do you want? You want the best qualified person to lead your party in 2020. It's not a case of I want the richest person to lead my party in 2020.
What if they want the richest person?
I doubt if that will be the consideration of the party. Your best outcome is having the richest person who is also the best qualified person to lead you. But when you put 500,000 cedis on the table and say that's what you pay to stand, remember that's what you pay to stand, not guarantee you success at the primary, that then becomes almost as safe to say that it's going to the highest bidder, which we've seen some of the other contenders say. Particularly, I've seen posts from Alban Babing's camp who is saying this is going to the highest bidder. Now, but also there's a good side and there's a bad side to this. The bad side to this is part of what I've already said. But also, back to the corruption question. That is how parties have always operated. Somebody, I believe in a candidate, I believe he might win, I have resources, he can raise it himself, so I'll give it to Alabi, I'll give it to John Mahama, I'll give it to, so that he can go and pay. Hoping that if he wins the primaries and hopefully wins the national election, I get my cut out of it. I scratch his back, he's scratching my back. That is the narrative, and this is not a narrative that is peculiar to Ghana. A narrative that's peculiar, that abounds in most democracies as well. People always raise monies from other people who have the means, who can contribute to go and pay some of these things. And so it's not peculiar to us. It's not because of this part of the world we are. It's very pronounced because you don't have the rules to sort of govern the process of financing candidates and their political parties. And so that's where the risk is. However, my fundamental position is if you cannot raise 500,000 cedis, you have no business being in the presidency. I mean, that's my fundamental position. Because 500,000 cedis is a serious amount of money.
It is.
But it shouldn't be beyond a man who wants to lead this country. I'm not saying that this gentleman, whoever it is who eventually emerges as a flag bearer of the party, should bring this up from his bank account. What politicians do, politicians who have people who can win people's hearts and minds, who people believe in, they don't need to contribute a penny of their own resources to the campaign.
They should be able to persuade people, convince people to invest in them.
In a position to offer ideas that convince people that this individual has what it takes to change my life for the better, has what it takes to turn around the economy. And so I cannot allow this guy to fail, because if I do not contribute to his campaign, he won't win the ticket. He will have no chance of being the president of Ghana. And all these brilliant, competent ideas that he has will never materialize. And so I'm going to invest in him, right? If you cannot do that, I said, somebody who wants to lead the country or lead a party, to raise 400,000 cedi from people, businesses, Ghanaians, ordinary people, then you have no business being there. And so if you look at it that way, the party has set 400,000 cedis, thinking those who will raise this amount, who will not necessarily raise it from their own bank accounts, but can get a coalition of believers to contribute to him, maybe that is the kind of person who, if we put him up in a general election, most Ghanaians possibly might believe in this individual as well, and also be willing to not only contribute to his campaign, but to the party's fortunes that we can win. So you need to contribute, you need to consider that aspect of it as well.
Right.
But that, for me, I guess, is a bigger point.
What then happens to the conspiracy theory, Evans, that I just threw to Mr. Kwashiga, that this is a elimination tactics, basically, to just say, some people can raise it, let's get them out, let's prune the number, and let's go with a smaller
because
number.
we are talking about partisan politics, you cannot rule out any possibility. There are no absolutes in politics, which simply means that everything is possible. It's very possible that this is one of the reasons why this has been put there, so that if even the executives who decided 400,000 do not have a favorite, okay, who they believe the 400,000 will favor, but they simply want to trim down the number using the figure as one of those elimination principles in trimming down the number, because you'll go to vetting. Other things will be considered, your usability, your etc. But I guess the money will be the first eliminator. So maybe they just want to put this out there to trim down the number. To know those who are really in this, or those who are just doing this because of the fame and popularity and whatever else that comes with it. That's one. But the conspiracy theories argument is that, as you're pushing, is we put 400,000 there so that it will favor one person, because we know that that person can afford. And if you push me, I'll say you may point to John Mahama, because I'm a record to have said that in terms of the
and that's actually been
in terms of the numbers that are contesting, he's probably the most resourced. He's been a former president before. He has goodwill among businesses and private people who really have money, etc., who really contribute to him because he's been there. He's the most marketable, so he's the most attractive. If you want to put your money into any of these 13 people, you most probably put your money in John Dramani Mahama, because when you're a businessman thinking my returns, you want to put your money there. And so if I am an executive and I sympathize with John Dramani Mahama, then it's in my interest to put 500,000 cedis, because I know John Mahama can raise that kind of money. And then everybody else who can raise it will fall off. And then less competition John Mahama has. So that is a conspiracy theory that it may be possible, has been part of the thinking process in fitting the money. But nobody can say for sure. There are so many factors. You know, you can consider the positives and the negatives. I've pointed some of them out here. But at the core of this, I say, whoever complains about it, now it's good to hear Mr. Kwashiga, who speaks for the Alabicam, say that we don't have a problem raising the money, but we just think it's too much. It's good for him to say that. However, if you can raise 400,000 cedis, you have no business. You have no business attempting to lead us, to lead this great country of ours. It shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Well, there's still, the jury is still out. We'll see how it goes. But it's not just Mr. Kwashiga or Professor Alabi's camp that's not happy with this. Like Evans mentioned, there is also Alban Bagwin. And we're yet to see if the others are going to follow suit, or if for the others this is okay.
No, I'm very, very certain almost all the other candidates, with the exception of John Mahama, if I see John Mahama's statement on this.
Well, what if he comes out to say, well, I think it's too much, let's beat it down?
Well, we'll see. But I'm very certain that the other candidates will start chipping in gradually. Some may even go to the extent of formally petitioning the party to reconsider, etc. And I want to see how the party responds to this, because this will be the first challenge you'll face since they've been elected recently, in trying to see how listening they are in terms of their ability to sort of bring people in. Because I mean, one of the key things, one of the most important jobs tax they have, this new crop of leaders, is to unite the party. And you don't want to start off by estranging more of your party folks. These are serious stalwarts of the party. You don't want to start off by creating more division. This has a potential of creating more division because of the conspiracy theories you said. People may be thinking that way. There are people who will be thinking, no, this is, Abambebe has said it already, selling the party the highest bidder. He's going to fight it. So you don't want to start off like that because you already want to unite the party. The party is already divided. So if you start off like that and you do not listen, you do not at least review it downwards, because a compromise has to be struck. So 400,000. The other guys come and object. You have to find a way. It's politics. It's a game of numbers. I say, I'm going to reduce it maybe by 100,000, also 300,000, but at least you'd have listened. right, and done something about it. So I think it's a test for this current crop of leaders. What they do with the petitions that might come, either verbally or complaints in the media, are they going to listen and call back the group, the executive committee, and say, can we take a second look at this? Or we're going to bulldoze our way because we've set it. If you don't want it, get out of the race. If that is a posture, that is going to create a problem for the NDC, because post the primary, they will have a tougher time if they don't do something about it. They'll have a tougher time convincing the others to come on board. And so whoever can afford, if I'm John Mahama, I would issue a statement also. And say, well, this is something that the party can take a second look at. I don't have, like, the same thing as Kwashigan is saying. I don't have a problem raising it, but because of our ideology, because of the kind of party we are, because of the, and remember, the founding father has said this many times, that we are losing our principles. Money is becoming an issue too much for us at the party. And then here, you put 500,000 CDs. So maybe I will put a statement and just build a coalition around all the aspirants and get the party to do something about this, because it will look good on you as well.
This is just developing. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Evans, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Evans Mensah is head of our political desk here at JoyNews. And like I said, it'll be interesting to see how the party responds, and it'll be interesting to see how the other candidates respond. But on the phone now is Beauty Emefa Nate. She's Executive Secretary of the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. Away from the politics, what does this mean for the fight against corruption? Are there even implications at all? Evans had already indicated that it does have implications. Let's find out from the coalition what they also make of this. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your time this evening here, this afternoon here on The Pulse. You follow the conversation, haven't you? Hello? Hello, Miss Beauty, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. You follow the conversation, haven't you?
Which conversation?
Okay,
please?
so the NDC has just put out information about how much they're charging those who want to be flag bearers for the party. Those in the flag bearership contest, they're charging 420,000 CDs. People have said that this is a lot, and it goes back to the conversation about corruption. Because if somebody has the potential to be president and they have to cough up this amount, the likelihood is that they're going to be able to raise the money from people who believe in their cause, but these people will certainly not be doing so because they're Father Christmas.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, you went off. If you can kindly repeat yourself.
Okay, so the conversation about political party, funding for political parties.
Yes. So what was the question? I didn't hear the question.
Okay. So the question is, the NDC is charging 420,000 CDs for a person to file the nomination to be flag bearer of the party. What do you see from where you sit are the implications for the fight against corruption?
Okay, thank you very much, and good afternoon to your listeners. We believe that when it comes to politics, it is important to create a level playing field for all actors. So when you put limitations in the way of people who are aspiring, it becomes a challenge. And that is why we think that when it comes to political office, it is important that you make such fees in a way that does not become a disincentive as well as a deterrent. At the same time, when the fees are high, looking at the cost of election in this country, which is already high, because the recent study by CDD has indicated that even with the primary election,
primaries.
The primary elections that they hold is expensive. At the same time, when you look at the parliamentary elections, it's expensive. So going around as national aspirants, aspirants for a political party, going around to campaign, it's also very expensive. So if you put all these together, the question is who funds this? And that becomes also another challenge. When people come into office, then they are either compelled to find means of supporting the people who are able to raise those funds for them before they come into political office. So it is important conversation that Ghana as a country, we should look at and see how do we create support in terms of campaign finance so that we can use it as a way of preventing people from making money when they come into office. So people do not invest into campaigns and then feel that when they come to office, they would then use the office to pay off those debts. I think that this is a conversation as a country we should have. Okay. We shouldn't let money become the decider for quality.
Right. Ms. Nate, thank you so much for your time. Beauty Emefa Nate, she's Executive Secretary of the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition. They're bringing that perspective to the conversation. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your time.